beep, 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 to catch back up right fast. You guys are in the bar. You've settled all of your normal kind of, or the stuff you'd all planned. The people that Clayson sent, the guys that Clayson sent to make it look like it was an investigation, and it is. I mean, they go through the standard rigmarole, but they're all inside guys. They're people you've recognized as runners between the two of you, or at least you recognize a couple of them, and they're doing the detective job, quote unquote. They're sealing the thing off with crime tape and keeping anybody back that wanders over, but there's not really a lot of onlookers or gawkers wandering there. Probably because if anything bad did happen, they're smart enough to stay away. Like, I don't want to be involved. So not a lot of witnesses are coming forward to the people, to the guys out asking questions, that sort of stuff. But they're going to keep a cordon around the place. They're not going to leave. I know you guys had mentioned it a little bit in your your backgrounds, but they're still going to be there when the lady wakes up, when the Twy'lek.
Okay.
When she wakes up, they're still going to be there. They just won't be in the bar.
Right.
Yeah. The inside detective stuff was all for show. They came in, said, "Oh yeah, this does look really bad. Make sure it's cleaned up enough, to be presentable, at least downstairs."
And I think that in our little diary, Biff and I did spend a good amount of time like cleaning up. So hopefully we've been able to do that.
Yeah. If you spent most of the day, yes, fire away.
Are they worried about how we disposed of all those bodies?
They didn't mention anything. No.
Okay.
Good question, Phil.
We probably could have saved on the body disposal fees, guys.
Yeah, see, this is. Remember, I said, Remember, I would put this kind of outside of the audio recordings, but this is closer to the Rogue One take on the universe, which is more my favorite portion of how they did it than the kind of canon ones. Although I guess that's canon now officially. It's darker. The rebellion is a darker underbelly side. It's not all bright, shiny, heroic. In front of the cameras look. There has to be that other side that's the dirty work. And I kind of envision Clayson as being similar to the character in Rogue One that gives Cassian the kill order. If that makes sense.
Yep.
Yeah, he's kind of like, all right, now they're out of the way. Yeah, do what you got to do, sort of thing. And he understands. So you don't know that specifically, but you would get that vibe that he's not really asking you guys how you're getting it done. He just cares about it getting done.
All right, I'm just going to make a little note to myself.
Right. Save on fees. Reimbursement. We don't do that here. What do we look like? A HR department?
File an expense report.
Yeah, right. Yeah. File an expense report and triplicate it. Yeah. Care of. Send that to so-and-so department, interoffice mail. Okay. So all of this goes on, all of the kind of rigmarole. Clayson goes back to his stuff, but from the medic that they brought in to sedate the Twy'lek to get her from stop being hysterical, that she should wake up late that evening. He's not sedating her for like days, right? Just giving her kind of a tranquilizer get her to sleep for 3 or 4 hours or 4 hours, that sort of thing. Where would you guys have
day
put
6 or day 7?
I don't remember what I sent you guys.
Your last email was day 6.
Was that?
I think we're still on day 6.
I think you're still on late day 6.
Okay.
Right, yeah. Like this should be the evening of day 6 when she wakes up, potentially, right. if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I'm fairly certain it's the end of day 6.
Okay.
But I sent it to you guys, and I don't have it right in front of me. So it's either end of day 6 or end of day 7. I'm fairly certain it's day 6.
It's very critical for my flow chart.
Oh yeah, right. I understand. I don't want to mess that up.
As far as where we would have put her, I am thinking probably if you're looking at the little schematic, in bedroom 6 or bedroom 7, somewhere on the first floor. Yeah.
Let me go back to that right quick.
Or Phil actually might do better in the master bedroom. I know that sounds kind of sleazy, but
master bedroom.
Yeah, I feel like if she's in there, it's like open, it's spacious. There's a table, she could kind of relax. Phil could be on the couch, she could be on the bed, so there's like a degree of separation. And also, I think we should definitely not bring her down into the basement because she might not even know it exists. Which hopefully we can get out of Phil, or have Phil get out of her, is like, hey, are you aware of the slaving operation and this, the holding area and all that crap? So.
All right, I'm just bringing this up right quick.
I like it.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, I like
okay,
that.
so you said room 6.
Or master bedroom.
Oh, master. Okay, yeah, master bed. Yeah. I kind of expected that, but that's fine. I was hoping y'all wouldn't like take her down into the holding area. Let's put her in the holding area for a little while.
Yeah, you know what? I think Kurt and I did a good enough job of scaring the shit out of her. So I don't think we need to do any more.
Yep.
That's not Kurt's version, though.
I loved Kurt's version.
Yeah, Kurt's version didn't read out that way.
That was amazing.
Okay, so late in the day, you have her there. I don't know how often you're checking on her, but
right.
But late in the day, around about the time that you expect her to wake up, Clayson shows up back to your main entrance. I don't know if y'all have it locked or what, but he will come in. Either if you have it locked, he will unlock it.
That's good to know.
Dude got keys.
Right. Yeah. Dude has keys. So, but I don't know if y'all would lock it or not, knowing that, because he left the guys outside. The detectives or the
right.
cops are still outside milling around, in case anybody wanders by and wants to be a looky-loo on the place. So, I don't know that you guys would necessarily lock it, but maybe you would. If you lock it, he knocks because he's not going to have keys to the place. That would be silly. So,
okay.
So if you do lock it, he'll knock. Either way, I'm going to assume you guys let him in.
Yeah.
Okay, so he's coming back. He's like, is she awake yet? Has the Twy'lek woken up yet?
No.
All right. Well, she should be awake soon.
Yes, we're watching closely.
Right,
Listen, I want to talk to you about some fees that we incurred in the cleanup of this place. I feel like we really did the job of the security services, and I don't want the full price back. I just want maybe half of it back. Let me check my records. JBot, we paid 45 credits for disposal fees, right?
Sure.
We paid 100 credits to get rid of these bodies. I'm just looking for a meager reimbursement of 2/3 that price. I don't mean to be a burden, but we don't have a lot of extra money to work with. Could you help us with that?
He glances at you and looks around the bar. Well, maybe you should sell some furniture if you need to reimburse some of that. I don't really have spare funds that I can provide you with. I see what you tried to do there. Hey, when while you're talking, you hear the sounds of her rousing from her sleep. She starts, looking. You hear her like, where am I? That coming from the other room. I'm hoping y'all didn't shut the door. Just leave the door shut. So, you hear her rousing from her sleep. Or somebody does. Put it that way. I'm not going to make you roll for it. So Clayson says, "Oh, sounds like your guest is awake," and he'll walk that way, whether you lead or follow. It's up to you guys.
Yeah, I'm gonna go in there. He's in uniform, right? So
yeah. He's in uniform.
I'm gonna let him go through the. Yeah, I'm gonna let him go through the door first because that might be more comforting. You know.
I'm gonna stand outside, like still in the main bar, but able to listen into the two open doors.
Okay. As you walk in, or as the Bothan and Clayson walk in, she's sitting on the bed, kind of curled up with her knees. If that makes sense. Looking around, but not really moving and not really reacting. Like she's not going crazy. Like you recall her, and I think that's the only way Phil's ever seen her, or the Bothan's ever seen her, is screaming her head off or panicking. So she's calmed down considerably. When she sees the Clayson walk in, she's like, "You gotta help me! You gotta help me! They're holding me captive here." And Clay says, no, you misunderstand. Nobody's being held captive here. He goes, we're here to investigate an attack on this bar. It was reported by the individuals who found you earlier hiding. And when they couldn't get you to come around, they had to call in for some medical assistance. They're just law-abiding citizens that heard a ruckus, decided to come in and check out what was happening, and that's all they did was find you. So what I need from you, ma'am, is your name. What do you do here? And of course, what happened? And she looks from Clayson to Oscalot or Oscalet. Kurt, did you come in, or were you staying in the bar?
I'm gonna kind of hang out with Slayshik out in the hallway. I want to be able to hear, but I don't want to be on top of her. I think 2 in the room is more than enough.
Yeah, it's a big room, but yeah, it probably wouldn't be a great idea. Heck, it's got a chair and a table in there from what I see now.
Darn right.
got retrofitted into a master bathroom and walk-in closet that I can see from here.
There's a shower too in the master bathroom.
Right, I saw that. I was like, what, you're not going to use the communal shower like everybody else? Okay, so might be a lot of me talking here for a little while, which isn't too unusual. She says her name is Keela Tariq. I'm going to spell it the way I spell it, but you're welcome to spell it however. Keela and then Thehrreek. That's probably not the right way a Twy'lek spells their name, but
it's off. But
should be more apostrophes and
Wow.
all sorts of crazy stuff in
they
there.
don't use the double E's so much.
Yeah, so that's the name I gave her. So spell it however you would like. I wrote it in what is it? Phonetically. How about that? So he says, "Okay, Mr. Reek, what do you do here?" She responds, "I'm a waitress. I've worked here for just a few months, not long, just as a waitress." He's like, "All right, well, what are you doing here? Like, why just a few months?" He goes, "We don't get a lot of people here unless they're up to no good that have only been here for a very short amount of time. Are you part of one of the guilds? Were you previously at another station? That sort of thing." He's asking. She said she was formerly from Geller City, which you guys would know is the capital city of the capital city of the entire system. So, where did I put my notes? It's on the capital planet, which I do not have right in front of me, which I think is the 3rd or 4th planet. And you can hear me shuffling through papers now as I try and find that one. Lots of paper.
Was it Malgore?
I don't recall. I don't have it right in front of me. I don't know what I did with it.
Gelatron?
Gelatron. Gelatron. I don't think I named anything Gelatron. It's very small text on my stuff here. Yeah, it's just I just put the capital planet. So it is Malibor 3.
Okay.
It has Geller City, which I can't say is too unsurprising, but
it's not too late to name it Gelatron.
I guess I should name it Gelatron. It's right next to Megatron. So she says, "I'm from Geller City. I came up here because my boyfriend, who I met there in the city, worked here on the station at the bar, actually, at this bar. And so I moved here to, be with him. And he got me a job because he knows the owner. And that's what I do. That's what I've been doing for the last few months." The next question he asks is, "Okay, fair enough. What happened?" That's the main reason we're here, is what happened. It looks like there's been some kind of attack. There were some fatalities, and we want to know what happened. Anybody want to break into this? Because otherwise we're going into flashback mode.
No,
Yay, nay?
it's pretty much what I want to find out anyway.
Okay, yeah. So if you guys have a question, feel free to jump in. But it's going to be a bit of a flashback. Is kind of the easiest way for me to easiest way for me to describe it. Otherwise, it won't make a whole heck of a lot of sense unless you guys ask like all of the questions, everything you could imagine. So, let's see.
Tell me everything.
Tell me everything.
Like you're telling me a story.
Yeah. No, I didn't write this.
Imagine yourself.
It's all bullet points. So, she's.
I suppose let me throw in one then.
Yeah.
What's the owner's name? That bar owner's name?
I wrote that down. Dadgummit. I knew you were going to ask me that. Calvin Blair. Spell it however you want.
And I'm just thinking about this now, but do we have photos? Can we have her identify?
If you bring in the big one, the one that you guys had identified where you thought was the owner, or she'll point to him and say that's him right there.
Okay.
I'm gonna make a comment. You guys won't remember this, but I've been listening to the back stuff. I just edited it. So there'd be a bit of a retcon here just because I used a different name. The guys who were called as slaves, called him Big Jim. Okay, that was just me throwing a name out at the moment. So,
It was a nickname.
Yeah, Big Jim. It was a nickname. They never actually knew his real name. So just in case y'all ever run into that, hey, wait a minute. I was listening to the old stuff and that doesn't match up. Well, I'm bad with names, so congratulations. Here's your first opportunity. Especially when I'm coming up with them and have to remember them later as I'm writing things. So yeah, she says Calvin Blair. That was her boyfriend knew him. She has no idea how they knew each other, but that's who she knew the big fat guy as. The big fat balding.
Is your boyfriend in this photograph?
Yeah, she points to one of the random humans in there.
Like the one that we definitely found a body of, right?
Yeah, you found bodies of every single person on that photograph. Except for the owner.
Except for Big Jim.
So just to be clear, her boyfriend is dead and she doesn't know that yet.
Probably not.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, as far as you know, she doesn't know it.
Okay. You said random person on the photo, and I thought maybe it was somebody in the background or something. But
no. She points to one of the people. Yeah, points to one of the obvious foreground guys that you know to be dead.
You got a job, Bill.
Yeah.
Break it gently.
Yeah, let her down easy.
I don't know that y'all have told Clayson about the deaths. Like I know you've told him that there were bodies, but I don't know if you said, "Here's the picture."
Yeah,
these are the ones that died.
We did not have a chance before Miss Waitress woke up. I believe that was rather quick.
Yeah.
Right. So he's not gonna know. He's not gonna know that.
We can handle it.
Yeah. Right. So that's y'all's call, whether you tell her or not. Oh, he ran off. Must be a deadbeat. Sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So she's been working there for a couple months. Her boyfriend got her the job because her boyfriend knew Calvin. And so when she came to the station to live with him, he got her job. Pretty natural. She was supposed to just be a normal waitress, nothing fancy, no dancing. That was the reason she was, everybody thinks, oh, it's a Twi'lek. It's got to be a dancer. You got to work in one of those seedy places. No, this was just a bar, just a waitress, nothing. She wasn't asked for any extracurricular activities. And so she seemed like everything was going great. Nothing really sticks out in her mind as odd until a few weeks ago. Okay. A few weeks back, and this is where she starts her tale. It's like a few weeks ago, a group of electricians came in. She'd never really noticed them before. They'd probably been there, but she'd never made a real big note of it. But they were talking about something way technical, way beyond her means to understand. And it was obvious that the group of them, the 3 or 4 of them, were kind of at odds about what to do, arguing over technical stuff. Biff, if your character had been there, you might have, been able to help. But to her, it was all going over her head. That's how she's explaining this. One of the men suggested asking, and she says, quote, she sticks this in your head. One of the men said, we should just ask the old man about it. All right. And she said another one kind of scoffed at this and said, oh, that old man's off his rocker and hadn't been the same since his accident. All right. She asked, I got her kind of curious. So she asked, and one of the guys said, oh, it's just an old timer. He used to work as an electrician, but he lost his sight, years ago, and spends all his time basically drunk off his ass or reminiscing about the old days. And if he wasn't doing that, if he wasn't drunk and he wasn't reminiscing, he was always babbling about some old archive he'd found. It's just, stupid crap, old legends, ghost stories, nothing useful. I mean, you could never get anything out of them. That's what they're going on. She was curious, asked a few questions. It's something different from the kind of normal stuff, and she was being a nice waitress. They said it revolved around some old pirate gang and a bounty hunter. That's all she remembers, or that's all they remembered. They laughed it off, saying it wouldn't, why would anyone care about some 3,000-year-old pirates? And then that's the last thing she remembers. Fast forward to the day of the Great House meeting. She's like, the day the attack occurred, entire station was talking about it, and a couple of those same electricians happened to be drinking in the bar when the news broadcast went out, if you recall the one that we used between sessions 1 and 2.
Mm-hmm.
She was delivering some more drinks to them, no big deal, when it came on, and saw the two of these guys exchange glances like, what the heck was that? And their faces suddenly go pale. She asked them what was going on, what's the big deal? And they said Valiant was the name they'd heard the old man rambling about for years. And she was like, oh, that's weird. They're asking for, information on this, and suddenly these guys know something. But about that time, her boyfriend walks up and asks what they're discussing. He laughs off the idea and wandered over to talk with Calvin, the main bartender owner. And she forgot about it till the next day. Boyfriend asked if she'd seen those same guys in the bar. This was the next day. Her boyfriend asks her if she's seen those guys in the bar, and she hadn't. He then told her that every system has a boogeyman. Someone that's just a story used to frighten children, and the old man was just spreading the idea. She, naturally curious, because she'd never heard this. She grew up in the system too, and she'd never heard this, or heard of this Valiant character. And so she asked him, okay, who's this boogeyman? Who's he supposed to be? And I'm getting an echo from somebody over there.
Let me.
I'm muted, so.
Yeah, I'm getting a weird echo when I'm talking. So she asked her boyfriend, like, who is this boogeyman supposed to be? I've never heard of him before. The boyfriend doesn't hesitate. Hineni. Hineni, she said. Who the hell is that? And it's like, my dad used to tell me these stories all the time. I mean, it's a boogeyman. He said he could kill a man just by pointing at him, and that he has the strength of a rancor, all this stupid crap. Kill a dozen men in the blink of an eye, never leaves any witnesses, all that stupid stuff. He's a boogeyman. What do you expect? He's just there to get kids to, go to bed on time and not do bad things. So, but, standard stuff. No one knows what he looks like because no one's ever seen him and lived, all this stupid stuff. But how do these stories get propagated if no one's ever seen him and lived? All this stupid crap. So she laughs it off, but for some reason she couldn't forget the scared looks on the electricians' faces. And something just felt odd about the way her boyfriend reacted to it, the way these guys reacted to it, almost as if suddenly there was a grain of truth in this whole boogeyman story. It's almost like these people who knew the story and grew up with it, even though she'd never heard of it before, were like, whoa, wait a minute, maybe there's more truth to this than we thought. All these years growing up, we thought it was just a scary story, and maybe there's a piece of it that's actually real. So some reason she didn't really, feel at ease the way she was kind of being directed to. And for the next few days, for the next day or so, she just felt this weird nagging in the back of her mind, like she was missing something. But to not help out with this, the owner and a couple of the other guys, her boyfriend, some of the guys that work there, or just like to hang out there, would jump out from around corners and scare her, and make loud noises and, just do the kind of standard stuff guys do when you got a female who's being scared about something. I'm not sure out of character if you guys capture the meaning what I'm talking about, but
yeah, of course.
like, oh, you're watching a horror movie and she, real intense. You go, bah, and you make a real loud noise and make them jump. That's kind of what they're doing to her. So, so she didn't really think much of it, other than that these basically jerks keep playing tricks on me, keep jumping from around corners and frightening her, because they could tell she was affected by it for some reason. And in a way, I guess they were trying to make her feel at ease, but at the same time, getting a good kick out of scaring her. So, all right, I'm moving forward on my page here. Okay, so fast forward a few more days. This goes on, and they keep messing with her till the day, I guess earlier that day. I think I'm trying to get my days right in my head. Hold up one second. Find my mouse here. Sorry, I need a drink of water. So the day of the attack, she just had like a large group of guys in there, celebrating a birthday party or something like that. 10 to 12 people. She didn't really count, but making a lot of noise. She got some pretty good tips, so everything was doing pretty good. And they had just left, and she was starting to clean up the table, take away the glasses and wipe down the table, that sort of thing. And Calvin, bartender, owner guy, had come over to help her clean. But otherwise, the place was empty. It's like huge group of people, and suddenly they all wash out the door, within a minute or so of each other, and the whole place is empty. It's just her and Calvin. They're cleaning up dishes, clean up glasses on the table, and that sort of thing. And how she remembers it is the door opened, and the only way she can describe it is a giant stepped into the room. So big he had to duck to enter. Had to duck his head to enter through the doorway. If you guys look at a character, these doorways are not short. They are standard human-sized doors. What are they? 6 feet tall, 6.5 feet, something like that. A standard human door.
Well, it's got it's usually
sure.
like 8 or 9, really.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Especially in the Star Wars universe, yeah.
Yeah, they're not they're not like 10-foot high doors. But either way, the person had to definitely duck to step in. That's what she remembers. She's like, this guy had to duck to step through the door, and all she remembered was screaming, and then caught herself. She's like, I screamed for a second and then caught myself, thinking this was just those idiots trying to spook me again. But when she stopped screaming, Calvin didn't. This is what caught her off guard, and the first thing that's like, oh crap, something's wrong, because she stopped screaming, thinking this was a joke, and didn't realize while she was screaming that Calvin was screaming beside her. And immediately he just freezes. He's screaming and he freezes. Almost, she's kind of describing what you remember of her when y'all first kind of came upon her. Turned white as a ghost, yelped and turned to run. And she's standing there frozen, coming down from that kind of shock, if this makes sense, thinking, oh, it's just a joke. I can't believe you guys got me again. And so she's frozen there, and she sees him still screaming, and, blood drain out of his face, and he turns to run. She sees the figure point, and a large wire fires out, wraps around Calvin's legs. Figure pulls, all one hand pulls, and the big fat dude that you've seen in these things drops onto his feet like he's weightless, and he just starts hauling him across. Calvin's screaming, grabbing chairs, tables, just everything's going all over the place, trying to stop from being pulled back across the room, because the guy just takes one step in the door, does this. And no matter what he did, grabbing on the tables, grabbing on chairs, he's still being pulled back. Like, it's not slowing him one bit. All right. Right at that moment, stockroom door opens. She sees her boyfriend stick his head out, curse, and then slam the door really fast. She glances behind, sees the figure. By this point, when she sees this, she turns back around, and the figure's lifting Calvin up with that same hand that he's pulled him in with the wire, lifts him off of his feet, by his feet. So he's got the wires wrapped around his ankles, basically, and he picks him up by his feet with his left hand, moves his right hand up, and you see what looks like a large blowtorch, jut out from the bracer of his right hand. And he starts to bring this over towards Calvin as he's holding him up in one hand, starts to bring it over to it, and that's when she screams. She goes, "That's when I screamed and ran for the stock room." She's like, I just burst through the door, saw the crate, jumped in it, and then just, tried to be as quiet, tried to disappear. She's like, "Oh crap, this is real. This isn't a joke anymore." She's like, I'm in my box. I'm hiding in my box, and all I can hear is Calvin screaming like nothing I've ever heard before. I mean, it's like blood curdling. Just, I don't know how to describe it. It's the type of stuff that kind of rends at your soul. This type of screaming, and then it just stops, and she hears a large thump on the floor, and then silence. All right, and she's at this point terrified, and time becomes a kind of nebulous. Don't know how long things take anymore. She might say, "Oh, it took like an hour," but it might have actually taken 5 seconds. And oh, I thought it took 5 seconds. It might have taken 20 minutes, sort of thing. That makes sense. She's into that weird kind of time slows and speeds up a lot for her now, so she doesn't know how long this is. Okay. So she's huddled in this thing. She doesn't know how long it is, but she starts hearing footsteps. Just heavy booted footsteps moving across the floor of the bar, or at least outside the stockroom, and approaches the door, opens the stockroom door. Footsteps come inside. She does that. I'm not here. I'm not here. I'm not here. I'm just closing my eyes and hoping, I'm not moving. I'm not breathing. Just doing everything she can to not exist in this moment. The steps move in and walk around the room. It could have been a minute, could have been 20 minutes, but she hears the footsteps moving kind of just normal paced around the room. And she, after however long, a minute, 20 minutes, she don't know. Like I said, it's all kind of nebulous. You hear a metallic sound, and you guys, get in your head like, I'm thinking that's probably the floor hatch opening.
Yeah.
Because it makes metallic sound. That's, she doesn't describe it as the door opens, the hatch and the floor opens. She just says, I hear a metallic kind of sound, metal on metal. I thought maybe he'd left, like he'd gone out the back door, is kind of the way she describes it. She's like, then next thing I remember is I hear shouting. I hear a couple of like really short, like what sound like gunshots, blaster shots. Not very loud, just kind of like, I don't know how to describe it. She's in a box, but they're not very loud. And then a couple of like deafening ones. All right. A couple just they almost like rattled her teeth. She doesn't know how long this lasts. She just, hear that little bit, like pew, pew, and then, bang, bang sort of sounds. And then she starts hearing footsteps come back towards the box, and they sound like they're coming up from underneath, but that's the best way she can describe it. I start hearing footsteps come back towards the box. Here's the metal sound again. And same, just too scared to move, doesn't want to breathe because she can hear the footsteps, now back in her little storage room. Footsteps walk up to the box and stop. And she describes it felt like an hour that she didn't hear any movement. She just heard the clunk, clunk, and then they stop. And suddenly best she can tell is they start walking away. They start walking back out through the bar. And she kind of loses sense of time at this point. So she's not sure if he's there, not sure if what's going on. The next thing she remembers is the, lid, like you guys coming in and all of your activity. So I'm not going to go through all that stuff, but that's the next thing she remembers, just kind of your activity. All of a sudden there's more voices in the bar, and her hiding place is being ripped open. She's got, a giant scaly monster in front of her, threatening her. and I could go on and on, but you guys were there, so you probably get a good idea of what's going on at this point. Right. And you can tell as the people that are in the room or that can see in the room, you can tell she's kind of like distant as she's describing this. This is very reliving the moment. And you can see she's kind of shaking and shuddering as she's doing this because she's reliving that fear that she felt while this was going on. So, and she's like, and then you guys showed up.
Okay. So, would you like something to drink?
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
Just
So
while this is just one side thing while this is going on, when she mentions, I had this down at the bottom of my notes, but when she mentions the word Hineni as the name, the boogeyman that they named, you hear Clayson take like a sharp intake of breath, like, like one of those, and then he doesn't say anything. You notice that it's almost loud enough for you, even the people in the hallway to hear, like, oop, one of those things. So, okay.
Okay, so I'm gonna step over to the bar real fast. I'm gonna get the bottle that we know is drugged.
I don't know if y'all identified that yet.
Yeah, we couldn't figure it out.
Oh, we didn't know? Oh,
no. Yeah, Slake was just handing them like bottles.
Right, and then we tried to identify if there's any markings or anything, and we couldn't figure out any difference between the alcohol.
Right.
Because we don't know what we served that guy, or.
Well, not Slake doesn't know what he served that guy.
Well, I know that like if we were giving him like beers, like just like bottles of beers, and they came from just the shelf.
Okay.
So.
Right, you were just I took that as, hey, let me get him another beer. And since you didn't put 2 and 2 together, you never figured it out.
Right.
That's kind of
so it's gonna be water.
That's right. Had you been more observant, or had it been Kurt's character, I might have given you a chance to do it. But your character doesn't drink, so to you, a beer is a beer is a beer.
Correct.
So.
Okay.
So with Ocelot running to go get water, I suppose what I'd like to try and do is get a little powwow outside the room with Clayson to talk about a few things before we start hitting up the Twi'lek with questions.
Okay.
That would be my suggestion.
Yeah, can he come into the bar so we can just like all talk to him for a second?
Yeah, Clayson can. Yeah, he's like, let me we'll get you something to drink, and if you need any food or anything, let us know. He's telling this to the Twi'lek. Then she's like, yeah, a glass of water. I'll take a glass of water. He's like, I need to go discuss this with these gentlemen here to see if this kind of jibes with what they saw when they got here. And so he'll leave the room with you and head back to the bar. He'll shut the door to her room and the one to the hallway to that area too, just in case. Okay. Well then, that was quite the interesting tale. Did any of that sound off to you guys? I mean, I wasn't here when you obviously I didn't see any of this. So does anything sound strange there?
No, it sounds plausible. The aftermath of the fight that we saw was one-sided. Shall we say?
Yeah, it sounds that way. And from what I saw, of the remains downstairs of the before you guys got it fully cleaned up, but minus the bodies, because it certainly looked one-sided.
What do you know about? You reacted when she told you that name. What do you know about this Hineni?
Boogeyman, same way her boyfriend described it. I'm gonna make a stab in the dark here. Her boyfriend was probably one of the people downstairs. Yes. Yeah, okay. Figured as much. Well, I'm guessing she doesn't know. She might suspect, but I'm guessing she doesn't know. But no, the stories are. It's a boogeyman. It's because they're just stories that you hear at sector houses. Every sector house has some old dude who's been there. You never saw it, that sort of thing. They're just stories. They're impossible stories. He goes, if I took this back to a sector house and described it, and then said, oh no, it had to be the work of Hineni, like everybody there would do the same thing, laugh it off and say, oh, you're just, it's too tough of a case for you, Clayson. You can't figure this out, and that's the way we treat anybody who comes back with a story like this.
Well,
And every
surely
time
it
you hear
doesn't need
one,
to be Hineni himself. Actual
Right.
Hineni. It could be someone posing as
Well,
Hineni to
that's
terrorize people.
that's exactly what I'm saying. There is no Hineni. It's just the name that they've given to these stories. Oh look, there's a handful of bodies in a warehouse, and doesn't look like how anybody could have possibly killed this many well-armed thugs. Had to be Hineni, right? That's what you end up with, and without question, it's always the way we react to it in the sector houses is, oh, it's just the case is too tough for you, or you're just afraid to go after the real killers, or that sort of thing. So, because it's, I guess the reason I react is because this is the first time I've ever been in a case where the name came up, and well, to be honest with you, I was like, oh crap, am I going to be one of those old timers? Maybe I'm getting too old because now I'm starting to see ghosts. Now I'm starting to have ghosts show up in my investigations, if you want to call this one of those. So, but yeah, no, it's just a name. It's just a name.
I think the Twi'lek described the appearance of Henene is in agreement with, I suppose, the legends and the stories you've grew up on.
Yeah, 10 feet tall. Can kill a man with a look. Yeah, it's always these. It's tall tales. It's all ghost stories and it's impossible things. If you were to dig deep enough, there are people out there who say he's a Jedi. Like it's just some Jedi. That's what we always hear about. Vader being able to do is this sort of stuff. Like no, Vader. Vader's it. He goes, Vader is it's not Darth Vader. It's just a story. It's a spook story. It's a, for all we know, she saw the first guy through, and there were half a dozen more that came and did this. That, who knows? Maybe, I mean that what was it? Calvin. Calvin's nowhere to be found. How we know he didn't do this? And she's completely confused or messed up, or maybe she was drugged like these other people you said came through here. How do
The
we
timing
know?
of this attack is very interesting to us because it comes close on the heels of our disruption of their slave shipment. It's possible that this is some sort of reprisal for the lack of for the failure of that shipment.
Yeah, that's easily possible. But I guess that's possible. I mean, maybe it was somebody cleaning up a mess because they saw that this link had been compromised. Maybe you guys attacking Blassos, they saw that as a weakness or an opportunity for people to dig deeper into their organization, and they decided to kill off, to cut the link between Blasso and whoever is connected to this place, wherever the money goes. Maybe that's what happened. But this is a dead end, guys. Literally, everybody here is dead. Where are we supposed to go from here on this?
The Twi'lek. Oh, sorry.
Sorry, you're garbly there, Jake.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Am I still garbly?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead.
Robot guy for weeks now.
I know. Go ahead, Kurt. Ask your question.
So, Kalayson, the Twi'lek mentioned an old man that apparently lost his sight and maybe had an accident. You wouldn't by any chance happen to know who she might be referring to?
Not the slightest clue. If it was through a bunch of electricians talking about it, must be somebody that was an electrician. I got no clue. There's a lot of old men in the force, but finding men who've lost their sight through accidents, there's probably a dime a dozen now. I mean, there's a lot of people who get washed out of duty because of accidents on the job or that sort of thing. It's a dangerous job. But no, it's not. If he's in the electrician side, we wouldn't know him. I wouldn't know him.
I think we should continue questioning her then.
And feel free. I'm going to go back to to my regular job and let you guys have this now.
Clayson, forgive me for asking, but if a character of that size and stature walked into this bar, Are there no security cameras within this vicinity that could detect someone so large and imposing going to this location? It seems like an easy man to track down and follow.
Yeah, you'd say that. I'll have somebody run some security information. I'll have them see. There's not cameras all over the place down here, obviously, since you guys had to borrow them from Helgen's to actually put some in the bar. So
True.
they're probably around somewhere, but more than likely not on the outside too much. If it's anything, it's going to be people protecting the inside of their goods and possessions, that sort of thing. But I'll check. I'll have somebody run a link or run a search on it to see if there's any in the area that might have caught something. Worth a shot. You never know.
Mm-hmm.
So, is there anything else, you guys? I mean, as far as I'm concerned, yeah, something crazy happened here, and it was more than likely a professional. I mean, if it was one person, it's somebody who's very well trained, very well armed from the sound of it, and they're a professional. But whoever it is, they're flesh and blood. It's not some ghost story. Maybe she put a name to it because that's the name she had been hearing them joke about in the bar for the last week. And it was just an ordinary mercenary or ordinary bounty hunter, and nothing special.
Yes.
I mean, who knows the last time she's actually seen one of these guys in operation? I can tell you some of the ones I've seen can be pretty scary, especially if you've never seen anybody act like that before. So she probably just got scared and she's overtelling the story. Nothing big.
There is one other thing that I want to share with you, Lieutenant Clayson.
Sure.
When Ocelot was running around searching the basement, we came across the stash of data disks, and a cursory examination of the data disks proves that they're encrypted or coded. I'd like to give you these disks, and if you would please put some folks on it to see if they can't decode the disk. We think that it may be bookkeeping associated with the slaver operations. There's definitely data structure. I just can't decipher it any further than that. If you put some men on it, let us know what you find out. We'd appreciate it.
It sounds a lot like the stuff the techs found on those other discs, those movie discs y'all found at Helgen's. If it's the same stuff, then maybe those two sites are connected. That's the only, besides for more than just you guys. But yeah, I'll have them look at it. If it's the same structure, it'll give us more samples. Maybe they can break it down. Right now, they've had no luck. That sort of stuff's above my head anyway. But the techs seem to be enjoying themselves while they're playing with all those files. At least that's all I can tell. I'll add this to their pile. Maybe maybe more evidence, more data will help them, find a code, find a pattern. So.
Were you able to determine the identity of Helgen's gunman off the photo we gave you?
Hold up 1 second. I've got that here. At least I thought I did. Dun, 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 dun. Nope. A minute. Yes. He came up as a Mika Harlow. Spell that however you'd like to. Human. You know that much from seeing it. Low-level tech. Poor performance ratings on pretty much every report. If you go back through when he joined the guild till now, poor, not even satisfactory on most of his stuff. So very, very low level. However, somehow he secured a flat somewhat above his ability to afford. It's a couple sections closer to the center of the station from Helgen's, so not quite in the slums. And I was going to send some officers over there after him, but if you're interested, you're welcome to do it. Save me the paperwork and manpower. It's up to you guys.
So what section he's in? Can you give us a specific location?
I'll make one up I'll make one up, but so take Helgen's. And remember, I told you that was kind of on the outskirts of you're getting into the seedy area of the city. Imagine it's a few blocks closer if this were a city. So like one sector closer to the center of the city, but definitely not in the pristine area. Just in the you're not going to get robbed every day walking down the street sort of area, if that makes sense. But if you guys want that, I will hold off sending people there to investigate. But right now, he's our main lead for the killer. As suspicious as that tape or that disc is, he is the main suspect in the killing of Helgen.
So I'm certainly interested. Oz Slay, you interested in going paying him a visit?
My name is Oscalet.
Oz Slay.
Unless
like
that was some sort of
Brangelina.
weird team name that you've come up with.
It's the Brangelina of this season.
It might be
interested?
worth investigating.
All right.
I'm interested.
I'll hold off on sending them then if you guys want to. I would suggest doing it, the next few days, just to make sure he doesn't run. But right now he might not have. I mean, if he did kill him, Helgen's been dead a few days. If he's going to have run, he probably already did. So I don't know that there's a huge rush on it. But if these are connected and you think there's a big bad ghost hunting all these people down, then maybe the big bad ghost killed Helgen, set up this Mika guy, and is now hunting Mika for all we know. I mean, they might not be connected at all. So if y'all want them, I will hold off for a few days. And if I don't hear from you in call it a week. If I don't hear from you in a week, I'll send my guys.
Sounds good.
Very well.
Okay. Anything else?
Let's see here. Are you going to run any kind of a background or search on Calvin?
We can. I'm gonna run if you'd like, and I can have them run to see if he's shown up anywhere. See if his ident card has accessed any other areas. If anybody's seen him, I don't know how many people even know the man. He seems to be an average enough looking person, but from her accounts, he's probably dead. Why the person took the body, I don't know. That's the strange part.
Yes, that's curious.
Yes.
But yeah, so I'll have somebody run some checks. I'm not really very very optimistic. You guys are quite familiar with how easy it is to get rid of unwanted trash.
Well, I wouldn't say easy.
Well, yeah.
Expensive.
Pretty easy. Well, if you have the money, which you apparently did, then not a big deal. So yeah. Anything else? Any other questions, guys?
Out of character, I think I'm done at the moment. So I'll turn it over to my cohorts.
Shleish, any questions?
Yeah, Slashik is really kind of silent and taking it all in. He's listened in on the story, but he doesn't really have anything to ask or add. He's kind of still mulling everything over from what the Twi'lek said.
I have no questions for you.
Trying to add up points in your head, like, okay, this would be 1 point for the scorekeeper for that.
Yeah, exactly.
Do I get all his points if I kill him and he got points for them?
Exactly. Yeah. No, he's very curious on that track, but he's also kind of frustrated, which is why he's a little bit silent.
Right. Okay. Well, now for some fun. Well, at least fun for me. Like I said, this might be mostly me talking. Clay says, okay, well, if you guys don't have any other questions, I am going to head back out and let you guys go from here. I will make sure that someone delivers your paperwork within the next day or so, so that you're all good with the guilds, and everything's above board. It'll look a little suspicious. You guys are going to have to talk your way around how you got ownership of the place. And because there might be a few people who suspect you of just killing the previous owners and taking over. It won't be the first time it's happened on the station, so I don't know that too many people will bat an eye at it, but we'll see. You never know. It'll be worth watching what happens. But unless you have something else, I'm going to go back to work. I'm tired. Okay, so he turns around, starts walking towards the door. And you feel the entire place shudder, like the building, the walls shake. The classic dust falls from the ceiling. He staggers a bit and steadies himself on the frame of the door and looks around like, what the hell was that? And I'm going to assume you guys are probably doing the same thing. Keela runs out of the room into the main building like, what's going on? No, she's panicking again. She's not as hysterical like she was, but you can tell she's back to her fear. She's having flashbacks for a moment. You see Helgen like step outside, and the door
Clayson,
opens.
right?
He's
Yeah.
Clayson. Yeah, sorry, Clayson opens the door, and the two guards outside are kind of picking themselves up off the ground. And he goes to his communicator. Hey, now that everybody has one magically, he goes to his communicator and is like, "What the hell was that? What the hell was that?" You don't hear the other half of the conversation, obviously. But okay, where'd I put you? You see him yelling at his communicator. What the hell just happened? Pause. Well, where was it? Pause. What sector? He gets that kind of shock. Like, where? Say what? He goes, well, that's just a couple levels below me. He goes, tell the techs I'll be there in a team. I'll be there with my team in a matter of minutes. He'll turn to you guys and say, stay here. I'll send a runner winning if I can. And
What happened?
he's off.
God damn.
Yeah, and he's gone. Him and his crew, like he takes his two guys with him. They're gone. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe to help us continue improving and expanding our channel's content.